Alright guys, we're here for the top 10 games. And we are going to kick this off right away with number 1, going from 1 to 10. And the first one on our list, NFL football for the Intellivision. This is a great game. It has the most amazing graphics. You can tell by that screen grab back there. It's just a great, you can't go wrong with this game. I play this game every day. Oh wait, are we talking about top 2017 games? Never mind, we gotta start this over. Let's get into the top 2017 games.
Gaming tech, eating brekkie is the gaming tech. Going for a recce is the gaming tech. Gaming techie is the gaming tech. Gaming techie.
Alright guys, so we're here to do the top 10 games of 2017. We're going to kick this off right away. We're going to start from the bottom up. These are ranked in order. We'll do some honorable mentions at the end and a couple of things at the end that we're going to talk about that we'll get into afterwards. So there's not going to be any real spoilers in this. I've finished 90% of these games, or if there's no quote-unquote finish, I've played a bunch of hours in it. But there won't be any spoilers. I'll give a general review, or not a review, but like a general synopsis of what the game's about so you guys know. But other than that, let's get right into it. So we're going to start with number 10. This number 10 is going to Splatoon 2 on the Nintendo Switch. So Splatoon 2, everyone knows that Splatoon, the original, came out on the Wii U. It was a great game. Everyone loved it back then, but the Wii U sold hardly no consoles at all. I think it was like 13 million total. Throughout the whole entire lifespan, so it was really popular on the system, but there wasn't a lot of people talking about it like there could have been. Splatoon 2 basically improves that in every single way. There's more maps, there's more modes, the graphics have obviously gotten a little bit of a facelift, and all the signature things are still there. They update the game, I feel like, every 2 or 3 weeks. Like, every 2 or 3 weeks you get a thing, notification on the game or whatever it may be, from the announcers when you boot into the game that, oh, there's a new weapon in the game, oh, there's a new this in the game, maps have rotated, stuff like that. So the game is basically, a shooter made by Nintendo. You have to. The main mode of it is Turf Wars, I believe is what it's called, and you have to splat with your guns. The most amount of turf in your team's color, in a 3-minute time span. So, and whoever splats the most at the end, based on the percentage of the map, declares the winner of that round. There are other modes on there. They're always adding new stuff, like I said. It's just a great game all around, and to make it even better, of course, it's on the Switch, so this goes without saying that it is now portable. So before on the Wii U, I could only play when I was home, which means I didn't play it that much, because when you're home, sometimes you're like, in your head, you're like, all right, I really want to play these AAA games on the Xbox or the PS4. So you didn't make enough time for that game. Now, it's the only system that you can bring on the go, as far as AAA games and stuff like that. So now I can play Splatoon 2 when, I'm at a family's house and we're not doing anything, at work during lunch break, whatever it may be, which is what I'm doing now, and it lets me play these games more often than I would have if it was just on a home console. So that's another plus side for it. So, Splatoon 2, number 10. Moving on to number 9, this is a exclusive to PS4. It is a sequel to a game that really, to me, came out of nowhere, which is Uncharted Lost Legacy. Now, what's really funny is I knew about the game when it came out, and I finished Uncharted 4, knew that we were getting Uncharted Lost Legacy, and never really registered or realized that as a person who bought that, I guess, Uncharted 4, that I was going to get Lost Legacy for free as part of, the season pass. That never really registered for me. I never knew that was a thing. So when I actually finally started hearing a lot of people talk about how good Lost Legacy was, and I wanted to try it, I was ready to fork over the $40 and pay for the game. Never actually realizing that I was going to get it for free. So when I went onto the store, it ended up being free. And I downloaded it, and the game is great. The fact that the story mode is the graphics are just as good as Uncharted 4. Obviously, it's using some of the same styles and stuff like that. So the graphics are still probably the best you can come across, or very close to the best. Because there's another game that may be a little bit better. On the PS4, it looks amazing, especially if you play it on a 4K HDR TV like I do. It's just great. As far as the graphics go, the storytelling is really good. Getting the two sides of the lady characters in the Uncharted 4 franchise and developing and hearing more of their side of the story and how things came about are great. And the action is always great. It was just really surprising to me because they basically, what it felt like, Uncharted 4 came out and a year later we have a new Uncharted game out of nowhere, or it was just really surprising how good it is, and it's an 8 to 10 hour game, so it's not even a short game. That they were able to put this together in such a short time and be this good was crazy. And obviously it also comes with the full suite of the multiplayer, which I love. I don't know how many other people do. Seems to be pretty decently popular. I always find matches within seconds for Uncharted 4, and this comes for the full suite and all the maps and everything that they've added in the game. So it's the same thing as if you have Uncharted 4, the multiplayer is the same. But if you don't have Uncharted 4 and you never played it, there's this game. And this is this being like a game, like a separate story thing. You could technically play it without playing Uncharted 4, without like being completely lost. But I'd recommend you play Uncharted 4 before you play this game, just so you have more synopsis. So that is Uncharted Lost Legacy at number 9. Moving in at number 8. Now I know this one's going to cause some controversy as soon as I say the name, but I put it on the list because I still have fun with it, even though I'm going to tell you what's wrong with it. And that is Battlefront 2. I am a huge Star Wars fan. I haven't been a huge Star Wars fan for my whole life because I never actually watched the Star Wars movie up until my wife introduced me to it like a couple of years ago, where I watched all the movies back to back. And now I'm the person in line for, the Star Wars movies when it came out in theaters, the last 2 times. And I played the first Battlefront 1. I played it on PC. It was good. It didn't have a lot of content. That was my only major gripe with it. As the season pass came along, it obviously became better. I still had a lot of fun with it. It was more of a casual shooter. There wasn't a lot of options and stuff like that, like you would see in like Battlefield or anything like that. But for me, it was still fun. But there was a lot of areas that it needed improvement on. So, on comes Battlefront 2, the story mode that I played, and I finished this main story mode. I did not finish the DLC part that came out just recently. I thought it was decent. It's not amazing. You shouldn't go buy Battlefront 2 based on just a story because it's not going to give you... It's only like 4 hours, so that's not worth $60. But with that being in the game, getting a little side story, and now we're getting more free as part of their ongoing content for the game that, they just came out with the expansion to the story, so hopefully that's, keeps going with the story, and we keep seeing more on Urso and stuff like that to get more synopsis on them. It makes, the package even better. Aside from the story mode, there's obviously the multiplayer, and they did expand the multiplayer completely. There's a lot more maps. There is 5 modes in the game. Starfighter Assault is amazing. I love that. Galactic Assault is amazing. Those are my 2 favorite modes in the game. There's a lot of controversy with the game because of the microtransactions in the game. I don't buy them. To me, as long as you're not buying... If you want to set a statement, sure, you could just not buy the game. That's one stance to go for. Or 2, I'll buy the game and not buy any of their DLC. So they realize, hey, the game's pretty as good as is. I'm not going to buy your crappy DLC that you're trying to sell. Or not DLC, but your crappy microtransactions that are terrible for a lot of reasons, which we're not going to go into in this video because we would be here for a while. But I still have fun without it, and I haven't come across a point either, even though it's possible that it's there, but I haven't seen it, so I've played over 15 hours of multiplayer alone, that it seems like it's an unfair advantage or pay to win or anything like that. I do see, especially now when they've made some changes that made it a little bit better, so, your star cards and stuff like that. You do get more. They change the rate that you get them in and stuff like that. So I already have a lot of star cards for the classes that I want and stuff like that, of course. So even in the beginning, though, I never saw that guy. I saw that he has 3 star cards, and that's why he's beating me. I never got that notion I keep dying over and over again because they have better stuff than I do. I never really felt that way when I played through the multiplayer. If it is there, it is what it is. But I never felt that way. I never felt like a disadvantage. I did basically well every time I played, or decently well, and never really had any issues, and it's freaking Star Wars. And that's why I played this game. If this had a generic theme on top of it, where it wasn't Star Wars and you just changed all the vehicles to just regular vehicles, sure, a lot of people wouldn't care about the game, and it wouldn't be as good, and all that stuff. All that stuff is true. But fact is, it does have a Star Wars theme on top of it. So, as somebody who just got into Star Wars a couple of years ago, being able to, fly in all these things, all these vehicles in the Star Wars universe, seeing all the Star Wars universe recreated, because bar none, this is the graphics are amazing. I've played it on PC, and I mainly play it on Xbox One X, which looks amazing on there as well, almost as good as the PC version does. It's just a great looking game, and the gameplay is still fun. It's still very basic. They did add more to it, but it's a great game. I'm not going to spill into it. We've already talked too much about this already. This isn't a review. Just to give you an idea why Battlefront 2 is good. If you like Star Wars, and just ignore the microtransactions, if you're a big Star Wars fan, get the game. It's still a lot of fun. The shooting is fun. The story mode is decent, not amazing, so don't go into it just for that. But still, one of the best times I've had in gaming, especially because of the universe it's in and all the sounds and all the graphics and how everything looks and what you're flying and stuff like that. So we'll leave that alone. Comment if you have any questions about that. But moving on to number 7. Number 7 might also have a little bit of controversy with it. There's a lot of games that had controversy this year, to be honest. Number 7 is Destiny 2. Now, I decided to hold off on... I never really played Destiny 1. Never really got into it. Obviously, raids were harder to get into, and strikes and stuff like that, because you need to have a group of 4 or 3, and you needed to find those people in advance and stuff like that. There wasn't any matchmaking or any stuff like that. So, Destiny 2 came along. It finally was coming to PC. So I chose to not buy it on any of the consoles, waited for the PC version, tried the beta, and graphics in that game, the detail, and the environment, like the variety of the environments and stuff like that, is amazing. The fact that they added that I can matchmake and strikes and stuff like that, and guided games is what they call it, for raids and stuff like that is great. It lets me play, even though I don't have a lot of friends on PC who play Destiny 2, because most of the people who play it are on consoles, but I really wanted it on PC because I wanted to see it in all its glory and stuff like that. It's a great game. There are some controversy because they keep screwing up every other week with how they keep releasing or changing, the DLC or changing content that you used to have access to and not having access to. They obviously backpedal pretty quickly because there's so many people playing this game that there's, as soon as something happens bad, there's a lot of people going crazy on it on the internet, and then they usually backpedal and change some things. A lot of the problems that people have with the game are also, which is definitely a concern, is like the actual content in the game, that there's not enough of it, I guess, especially towards the end. There's not really an end game, quote unquote. I haven't completely beaten the game, but, the way I look at it is, I'm not saying that this is like, that everyone wants more from Destiny 2. Everyone basically wants it to be like an ongoing game like World of Warcraft. That's basically what everyone wants in their fantasy world and how they want this game to work. But it doesn't work that way. But which a lot of people will agree with this, if you get a solid 30 to 40 hours out of a game that you paid $60 for, that has amazing shooting like Destiny 2 does, that looks amazing as far as Destiny 2 does, if you get that out of a game for $60, you got your money's worth very easily in my mind, and in most people's minds. And most of the people who I've talked about Destiny 2 say that the game is amazing for the first 30 or 40 hours, but then you run into the wall, there's not a lot of content left for the people who are at the highest level. Unless if you just want to run raids and strikes all the time and do them over and over again. So, that may be true. But they are obviously adding, bigger DLC packs, in the future. The first one wasn't as big. People were a little disappointed because it didn't add as much as they wanted. But it only came out like 2 months after the game, so I feel like the next one's probably going to be pretty big and, give us a lot of content on there. But like I said, even if you just take all that aside, and I just played 30 to 40 hours of what's in there right now, and I got that out of the game, it's still amazing, and it's still worth playing through, and it's still worth $60. And it still would make this list regardless. On top of the fact that they have the multiplayer, which is pretty fun. It's not like my go-to or anything. I do play it every once in a while once I log on there, though. And that's there as well. That will obviously give you, if you're into it, infinite amount of more hours because you're obviously just playing with friends and stuff online. So, on to number 6. Number 6 is a game that took a break for 2 years, and was a game that a lot of people loved. It's obviously a sequel, not a sequel, but like in a series of games that have come out. They took a break because they were just getting really repetitive and not much has changed, and that is Assassin's Creed Origins. Now, let me start off by saying that this is a game I decided to get on the Xbox One X, because this was a game that a lot of people were talking about that looked amazing in HDR and in 4K. So as soon as I got the Xbox One X, this is one of the games I wanted to try out on it. And I did, and they weren't wrong. Assassin's Creed Origins looks absolutely amazing in HDR 4K on an Xbox One X, bar none. Assassin's Creed obviously is in the Egyptian times, and there's the setting is really good, the graphics are really good. I think I am 30 hours or so into the game. Some of the things that I don't have an issue with it, but I've seen some people complain about the fact that they don't like the fact that in this game now it's like other games where loot drops and you have to pick up loot and then you have to attach it to your guy. So you'll pick up a sword that's better than another sword later on, and you have to keep managing your inventory and stuff like that, which Assassin's Creed wasn't really known for that back in the day. But I think Assassin's Creed needed a change. And the combat in this game is really good. picking up better weapons and stuff like that is something that interests me. So it has that flavor to it, and I don't have an issue with it. And I think it's actually a really good change. It works really well. There's a lot, and I mean a lot of stuff going on in the game as far as side activities and stuff. And some of the side activities actually have a better story or side story to bring the story together than the actual main missions do. So do not skip those side missions, guys, because those side missions are really well. Some of them are really, really well done, and you shouldn't be skipping them. The world to explore is amazing, though the actual environments and stuff like that. The world is one of the best worlds that I've I'm not gonna call it the best because I would have to think of all the games on the top of my head, but one of the best open world designs and stuff like that as far as the world goes that I've played. And I'm just in love with the way that the game looks and the environments and stuff like that. And I'm not 100% finished in the game. I'm 30 hours in. The game's really long, but regardless, it's an amazing, amazing game that you guys should all check out. If you're Assassin's Creed fans, you guys should definitely give this game a chance. If you're an Assassin's Creed fan, that's all there is to it. I mean, check that game out. Now, number 5 is, to be quite honest with you guys, a game in a series. It's a game in a series that I haven't played a lot of, as far as the past series going, and it's been going on since the original NES, and that is Zelda on the Switch. So let me start off by saying again that I never actually played a lot of the Zelda games back in the day. I did beat and play Ocarina of Time. I did beat and play Majora's Mask. I never still haven't, and I still want to play the original on the NES. I did play those two on the N64 and a sporadic other ones throughout the series, but I'm not what you would call one of the hardcore Zelda fans out there that are like obsessed with Zelda as much as everyone else is. I do play their games, but I'm not a fanatic like some people are, which is fine either way. I'm just letting you guys know because the fact that I'm not a fanatic and this game caught me on the Switch as good as it did and it plays as good as it does was even a surprise to me. There's not many games because I play a lot of games that I grab and play and just play that game non-stop every single day until I beat it or until I finish it or whatever the case may be. Zelda was one of those. A lot of the times I play a lot of games that I like and I have like 5 games that I'm playing throughout the day and I'll rotate like, hey, 1 hour here, 1 hour here, 1 hour there, because there's a lot of games and I like playing a lot of different games. So there isn't a lot of games that I just play straight through and stop playing. Zelda was one of them. Zelda is a great game. It's a very different Zelda game than the ones in the past, with it being an open world and stuff like that. There's a lot to do in the game and a lot to explore in the game. A lot of hidden things that like people may not see in the first pass through that are in the game, and you can easily get over 100 hours in the game if you want to like find every single shrine, do every single shrine, do all the side quests, do the 4 major beasts and stuff like that. Now there's new DLC that adds more hours into the game, which I haven't touched the DLC yet. That came out with the story expansion and stuff like that. I haven't actually played that. But, this game is basically once it just throws you into the world and it says, have fun and go. There's not like a direction of what to do. There's not like, oh, go do this. It's just, have fun and explore and do things at your leisure. You can technically, not going to work out for you, but you can technically, as soon as you start the game and you get out of the main area, go straight to the boss. You're going to get killed and you're going to not survive very easily, but you could technically do it. That's basically how the game is. It literally lets you go to the main boss and beat the final boss in the first 20 or let's say 50 minutes of the game. You can already be in there. You're probably going to die. Actually, not probably. You will die because you don't have any equipment or anything. You're just going to go in there with a measly little sword and you're not going to have any concept of what's going on, but you could technically go. So there's a lot to do in the game. I don't want to go into this forever. I'm sure a lot of you already have played it anyway. So that is my number 5, Zelda on the Switch. Great game. Play it. If you have a Switch, go get it. Now, number 4 is a game also that I've heard about, and we've all heard about for years, and we were all looking forward to. It was supposed to be an Xbox exclusive, still is, and I never knew anything about the game. As a matter of fact, I only started playing this game, even though I bought it a week ago, because I wanted to play it and see if it would make this list based on what I kept hearing about it. That's Cuphead. Cuphead is a game that's been coming for so goddamn long that we've been waiting for, and it kept getting delayed and delayed. And they obviously made the right call, because this game is flat out one of the best games I've played this year, hence why it's number 4. Start with the graphics. It's got the art style of like cartoonish, like cartoons from the 90s kind of style, retro kind of style. Graphics are amazing. It's definitely my favorite thing about the game. The style of the game is not anything I've seen in any other game, and it's just, as a '90s kid and stuff like that, it hits right at home how cartoons, excuse me, how cartoons used to look and stuff like that, and it's just a great looking, and the style of the game is just great. The game is hard as hell. Let's just put it out there now. This is a game. It's kind of like a what they would call bullet hell shooters and stuff like that, but it's a lot more than that. But that's like the central idea of how the game works. So it's meant to, if you're playing a boss, for example, you have to learn how he moves, what he does, and how he jumps and stuff like that in order for you to beat him. What that means is you're going to die 10, 15, 20 times. So you can memorize, all right, his pattern is going here. I can easily jump around him because he's doing this every time. The second time around, he's doing this and that. So you have to learn the game that way. You have to, play the levels multiple times in order to get through it. The game is hard. I started the game, like I said a week ago, on the first level. You would think it's the easiest level to teach you. It's not. It still took me 10 deaths until I finally got through the first level. And it took me another 10 or so, or maybe 7 or 8, 10 deaths to beat the first boss. And he's the easiest boss in the game because you're starting at the very beginning of it. So the game is very hard, but it's it's an experience that you need to play. The graphics, the style, again, the way that they hand drawn, like all the bosses are so creative and how they move and stuff like that, and the designs that they have on the bosses, the design of the levels are so creative and stuff like that. It's a game that anybody who has an Xbox needs to play. It's not even an expensive game. It's like $20, I think it was what it is, if I remember correctly. It's a game that everyone who's into that style, into like shoot 'em ups and stuff like that, needs to play. If you're not sure if you're into it, Google a video, see how it is, because it's an amazing game, and you guys all need to definitely play it. Like I said, number 4, Cuphead, an amazing game for the year. Number 3 is another PS4 exclusive, another one that I didn't play right away. I started playing it over a month ago, and it's easily, I want to just say top 3 on the PS4 exclusive list, because I don't want to get into my own head and see which is better right now. But easily top 3 for me, Horizon Zero Dawn. The story is amazing. I love the story. I don't think everyone out there feels the same way, but the story really hit me. I got invested into the main character right away. Was really into it, hearing the story, where it was going to go. Every time I got into a part of the game where I was like, oh, so we have to go do this side quest real quick, or we have to go do this main mission, but I really need to go to sleep. But like, no, I really want to see where this is going to go real quick, and see how she's going to end up, and see how this is, going to end. It's just a great story, has a lot of good side quests and stuff like that. It's an open world game, obviously. The graphics in this game are what you use to show off your 4K HDR TV. As somebody who has the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X, and there's some fantastic looking Xbox One X games, there's no doubt about that. The PS4, Horizon on the PS4, is probably still the game I would go to show off the PS4 Pro, possibly even just 4K HDR, like I said, in general. The game looks amazing. Like, when you see the sun hit through like the trees and stuff like that, and the environments, how well designed they are, how everything looks, it looks amazing. One of the best games I've seen on a TV in 4K, by far. Well, maybe not by far. I mean, it's obviously close with the Xbox One X now being more powerful, but it's still probably better than anything I've seen on the Xbox One X so far. That's obviously probably going to change because it has way more power. But Horizon Zero Dawn, fantastic looking 4K HDR game. Everyone needs to try it if you're looking for a showpiece for your PS4 Pro or your TV that you got for Christmas. I have beaten the game, so I'm not going to say too much to spoil anything. Like I already said, the graphics are amazing, bar none. The story is really good. I really liked it, how it ended up and how it started, and it really kept me invested. Some good, some of the good main missions. The world was really fun to explore. It's not a world that I can't wait. The DLC that came out, I'm still playing that now. Haven't actually beaten that yet. Frozen Wilds also looks just as good, and I'm getting into that now, so I'm looking forward to playing more Horizon, because that's what I was looking forward to. So I will let you guys explore that one. If you have a PS4, single player, Horizon Zero Dawn is a must-get for you guys to play. It's from the creators of Killzone, and they did a fantastic job. Go play that game. Number two. Number two is I cheated a little bit and put two next to each other because the game is so they're really similar in different ways, and I play them both so often that I couldn't decide which one to kick off the list, so I kept them both on here. That is PUBG and Fortnite. Now, let's start with Fortnite. Fortnite Battle Royale mode. Battle Royale modes, everyone knows, is like the new hotness everywhere. And Fortnite takes the Battle Royale mode that they seamlessly look like they literally just threw together out of nowhere. Because PUBG was out for a year. People were really loving it. And Fortnite literally had their regular standard game that they have, which is like a co-op game with 4 players. And literally out of nowhere, they were like, oh, by the way, we're having a Battle Royale mode come out. And everyone was like, what? And it ends up being that it actually runs better for now. At least on Xbox, especially, than PUBG currently does. Wow, which is really funny. But Fortnite takes the battle royale one, and what makes it different than than PUBG or some of the other ones is the building aspects in that game. So you can build things in that game. You collect resources like wood and metal and stuff like that, and you can basically build structures around you. You can demolish things. So you start the game off, and you're obviously the same thing. You're going off an airplane. You're jumping off, or a bus in this game. Sorry, you're jumping off, and you're going on top of houses. And the first thing everyone does is find these golden chests. The golden chests are the things you can find in the game, and give you the really high-powered weapons in the game. So you jump off. You go on top of a building, a house, and usually it's on the top of the house that you have to knock off. It's on top of the attic or underneath the basement or something like that. In a cave, that's where most of these chests are. And you start collecting your resources, you start getting your guns, and it's the same concept as all the other ones. That the top 100 people going at it, trying to survive. They have singles and duos and stuff like that, just like all the other games do. But the building is what sets it apart. Usually, you can get to top 10, top 5 sometimes without building anything. But once you get to that top 5, if you come across people who could build really well, you're probably going to end up losing. Because what happens is that the people who are really good at building can easily build like a structure out of a tower that's like 100 feet tall within like 10 seconds and be up there and be basically scouting out the map. That once the map gets really small, they'll build that, sit on top of it, and start looking around all the areas that you could possibly be in, and start throwing rocket launches and stuff into the trees or into small houses that you could possibly be hiding in. So they have a really big advantage sitting on top because they can see everything from up there. And they have a really big advantage on you. So learning how to build is definitely one of the main things about that game that you need to get used to, and what sets the game apart. It's got cartoonish graphics, which is different from PUBG, and the shooting is obviously a little different as well. The reason I like this one a lot is for the reasons that I just described. I like the cartoonish graphics. It's a good change of pace from the other ones. It runs really well. Well, basically almost really well. There's sometimes where it still lags when there's a lot of things going on the Xbox One X. But it still is a really fun time with your friends, just like all the other Battle Royale modes are. And the building adds a new dynamic to the game to work towards, to be better at, try new things. People will build a box around them when they're healing so they can't see anybody and you won't know who they are. They have a lot of crazy weapons in that game and a lot of crazy power-ups that aren't, in PUBG, for example, I got one yesterday for the first time that turns you into a goddamn bush. And I literally, you have to stay as a bush until someone hits you. So you can, go behind the house or go next to another bush and just lay there. And they don't know if that's a real bush or not. And you're just standing there, hiding, waiting to, go on to the next step. So, Fortnite, really good. On to PUBG. Same exact concept as what I just described, except it's not cartoonish graphics. It's real style, military kind of gameplay kind of thing. On the PC, it just came out with 1.0. It runs really well for me, especially as somebody who has a 1080 Ti. Of course, it should run really well for me, but it actually runs pretty well, and it looks really good on the PC now. I played a lot on the Xbox One X. That just came out. There needs to be some work to be done on that game. It runs at 30 FPS. Sometimes dips a lot lower than that, into the 20s, lower 20s. And, there's still some issues I need to work on, and they have already been releasing patches. There's already, I think, 4 patches that have come out in the last, few weeks that game's been out. So they're definitely working on it hardcore, considering that it's a timed exclusive for the Xbox One X, or Xbox in general. And that's a fun game because the building portion of it is out. So if you're not a really good building person, and you just want straight up survive, kill, and that's it, then PUBG, and which is why it's probably more popular than Fortnite is right now with, millions and millions of more players in it. But this one's not free. Fortnite, I forgot to mention, is free. For PUBG is $30 on the Xbox and $30, I believe, on the PC. So that's the reason sometimes I like playing PUBG. Sometimes I don't want the building nonsense. I don't want to have to deal with people building structures all over the place. So you go and you have a different experience with PUBG where it's just literally, hey, you're gonna drop. You have to go into a house, scour, look for things, you know, find things to outfit your character with, or weapons or armor and stuff like that. So it's a different feel to it. They're still obviously the same similar styles, but if you, like I said, I explained the differences of both, so it's up to you guys which one you guys like both. Fortnite is free, so you can try it without any issues at all. But PUBG is also really good, hence why it's the one that started it all and has millions of players playing. I like it a lot. I've put, I don't even know how many hours into Fortnite and how many hours into PUBG, but I basically play them every day, especially because a lot of my friends are playing it, so it's even more fun when you're playing with a group of 2, 3, or 4 and just, trying to stick together and take out the other team of 4 or whatever it may be. So I recommend everyone try Fortnite. It's free. There's nothing to lose. PUBG, if you have a PC, you get it on there. If you have an Xbox, you can get it. But just know that there is going to be some issues with frame rate and stuff like that because they're still working on it. But it's still fun if you can look past that for the time being. So there's that. Now, my number one game of 2017. One game that I have not mentioned that is probably on everyone's top 10 games who have played it this year, or at least almost everyone's, because not everyone likes every single game, is for the Nintendo Switch. And game that we haven't mentioned, Mario Odyssey. Now, Mario Odyssey is... I'm a big Mario fan. I'm a big Nintendo fan in general. But I didn't expect this game to be what it was. When I first saw the trailer, I was a little bit confused without reading anything else, obviously, on it. That, like, when they first showed the trailer with them being in the city, I was like... Is Mario, like, in an open world? Like, I knew it was open world-ish, but, like, I was like, is this just the city, and you're just going to be doing things around the city? I was kind of confused on how it was going to work. I think a lot of people were in the beginning as well. Then we started figuring out that that was just one kingdom out of many that they have in the game. So, then things got a lot more interesting. They started showing more gameplay, and I got really, really into it with the demos that they were showing. Once I got it, it was one of the other games that I played nonstop almost every single day that I got able to play the Nintendo Switch. The graphics on it look amazing. The frame rate is amazing. Nintendo obviously does a great job. It's their game. It runs really well. It's so polished. It's literally ridiculous how polished that game is. And obviously this is probably common knowledge by now, but basically you finish the game relatively quickly, maybe 8-ish or a little bit more hours, but you don't actually finish the game. That basically is when the game opens up. The whole point of the game is to collect moons. And as a random number, let's say you collected 100 by the time the game is over, there's over 1,000 in the game. It's the last time I remember someone talking about it, or something close to that. So basically, the world opens up, and you start seeing things on the levels that you already passed, or the kingdoms that you already passed, that you didn't see before. So as new things open up, you start, seeing levels that you didn't see before. So basically, there's a lot more content when the game is over. Do not finish the game and think, oh, that was a really good game, but, like, it was pretty short. No, there's a lot more to see that you haven't seen before, and a lot more to do after that game is over. Some of the best stuff that you see might actually even happen after you beat the game. So, there's a lot of, like, references back to, like, old Nintendo nostalgia that are in there thrown for everyone. The game's just great. The design of the levels is great. Obviously, a couple of the kingdoms aren't as good as all the other ones, but as a package, like, 90% of the kingdoms are amazing. The graphics, like I said, are really good. The design of the levels are awesome. They constantly throw new stuff at you, new ways of doing things, and it just all looks amazing. Anybody who has a Nintendo Switch and doesn't have Mario Odyssey, you're doing yourself a disservice. Unless if you just hate all Mario games that have ever come out in the last recent years, you owe it yourself to play this game and buy this game. It is probably an easily top 3 games of all time in Mario and the Mario franchise, for a fact. I don't know what else to say about it. It's a game that you all need to play if you haven't already. It's been said. I mean, it's got 10s all over the board. So it's no secret or surprise of how good that game is. And it lives up to everything I expected when I got into that game, and actually exceeded my expectations when I played it. It looks great on handheld and on TV, so either way you play it, it's great. I go back and forth. So guys, that is my top 10 games of 2017. Mario Odyssey hitting number 1, PUBG with Fortnite number 2, 3 Horizon Zero Dawn, 4 is Cuphead, 5 Zelda on the Switch, 6 Assassin's Creed Origins, 7 Destiny 2, 8 Battlefront 2, 9 Uncharted Lost Legacy, 10 Splatoon 2. We're going to do 2 quick honorable mentions here because I didn't want to infest this list with just Nintendo products. ARMS and Mario Kart on the Switch. Mario Kart, With the battle mode that they added, with the new maps for battle mode that they added, it takes that game to a whole new level. That is basically all that was missing for the Wii U version. The fact that it's portable and looks amazing and runs great. I play that game very often as well, and it's a great party game, great family game to play. ARMS is a great game. I know there's a lot of people talk about it, but a lot of people don't like it, so it's maybe a game that's a hit or miss depending on who you are, but I think ARMS is a great fighter. It's a lot of fun to play with two people in your house or to play online. It's very different than just Street Fighter stuff. Basically, it's arms that you can take off and put new pieces of arms that do different things and have special abilities, and you keep unlocking new arms in the game. That is another game that deserves some credit because they keep adding more and more to that game. Every month or every whatever it is, they add a new character to the game, more arms for the game, new maps for the game that you play on, new modes for the game. It's just crazy. A lot of content in that game. Check that game out if you're into fighters. It's a very different take on how it works. Love that game. My top 10 games here of 2017, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Look forward to next year when hopefully we have even more games that we could talk about here on the top 10 games of 2018. I'll see you guys on the next video.
Tech, UrGamingTechie is the gaming tech. UrGamingTechie, gaming tech. Eating brekkie is the gaming tech. Going for a recce is the gaming tech. UrGamingTechie is the gaming tech. UrGamingTechie.